People have frequently asked me, show us what you eat in a day. And up till now, I haven't exactly done that. We did a vegetarian day. I think I did a carnivore day, but I didn't do kind of a typical day. So today is a typical day of what I eat. If you've recently been diagnosed with diabetes and you've just discovered this channel, let me recommend that you go to our Uploads page, which will give you access to every diabetic video we've posted since we began. As you work your way through all our videos, I believe you'll find the help you need. A link to our Uploads page is in the description. Well, actually, it's not just what I eat. It's going to be what we are eating. Welcome to Beat Diabetes, my love.
Thank you, Dennis. Glad to be here.
Well, it's glad to have you here. You know, you're the fun girl. It makes things a lot more fun when you're around.
Yep.
So we are going to show you a day's worth of relatively low-carb eating. I have to emphasize it's not no-carb eating. It's not zero carb.
No.
There are going to be some carbs involved.
Little carb.
I've never felt like you have to go no carb. I think that's just unnatural and probably not even all that wise, although I know a lot of people that do it and they seem to do okay with it. But that's not our style. It's not how we roll. So today, this is one of my breakfasts, and it is a breakfast sandwich.
Yep.
You can't get more American than a breakfast sandwich, can you?
I know. I have, come to love American breakfast sandwich. And this is really good. We made a good one, sweetie. I think this is a win-win up in here.
Well, now, I know it's going to shock people because if you dig underneath the egg and the cheese and the sausage, there's bread.
There's bread.
There is bread. It is, but it's not a lot of bread.
Yeah.
And that's the key. You know, a lot of times it's not really so much what you eat, it's how much of what you eat.
Right.
So in this case, I took the lowest carb English muffin I could find in the grocery stores.
Okay.
It is called the Thomas Light Muffin.
Right.
But still, it has quite a few carbs. It has 26 grams for one muffin.
Okay.
But 8 of those grams are fiber. Mm-hmm. So that means now we're down to 18 grams of carbs that affect blood sugar for one muffin.
Okay.
Then I cut it in half.
Half.
So now we're down to 9.
Right.
So we've got 9 grams of carbs. There's virtually no carbs in the sausage, or almost no carbs. I won't say totally no. No carbs in the eggs. We've got coffee, and that's not going to have hardly any carbs because I've got some heavy cream in there, but that's almost no carbs.
That makes it really heavy.
Heavy, very heavy. So I know by experience this is not really going to affect our blood sugar, but you all wanted to see what do you eat in a day. Well, this isn't the only breakfast I'll eat. In fact, normally half the time I'm eating bulletproof coffee as my breakfast. That is it. And I know some of you are going to look at something like this, you're going to say, well, that doesn't look like much of a breakfast, Dennis. Are you going to get filled up? Well, compared to bulletproof coffee, this is a feast.
Right.
I mean, this is a nice breakfast.
Low carb, no sugar.
Low carb, no sugar. The reality is this would not have at all satisfied me 25 years ago. But this is not 25 years ago. This is
years ago.
The new improved version.
I wasn't here 25 years ago.
No, you weren't here.
I won't be able to tell y'all.
This is the new improved version of Dennis. You see, by the time you married me, you got the new improved version. The old Dennis was probably a little more hot-headed, hadn't kind of calmed down with age.
Okay. Wait, what I'm getting around here right now is the new version and the nicer version of you?
Absolutely. This is the best you can get. I mean, it ain't perfect, but it's about as good as one can get.
Well, I thank God I wasn't here 20 years ago.
Anyway, I ate a lot more in those days. At one time, I was up to a little over 190 as a weight. For 5 feet 10 inches, 190 is too heavy for sure. I had a nice round belly. Now, these days, I'm usually in the 160s, upper 160s. I used to kind of jump back and forth, but lately I've been a good boy. I've been staying around the 166, 168, something like that.
Yeah.
And so I don't require as much food. Now, you think this is going to fill you up?
Of course, it's gonna fill me up.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like you said, we just go, coffee with butter coffee,
Right.
and that will be our breakfast. So we kind of go on a small portion of food.
We're a
to
couple
stay-
of little people, right?
to keep our feet and keep our slim feet going.
Well, there you go. But like I said, compared to bulletproof coffee, this is a feast. This
Yeah.
is but the truth is, I don't go hungry, and of course, we'll be eating lunch in a few hours. So
Right.
it's not like this is all I'm going to have for the day.
Well, I started nice that with my score, 70 something. So I am so proud of myself that I'm keeping it all, good, guys.
Well,
guys, I'm keeping it good.
We have to let you know she cheated. This is a cheating person right here. Because before we came up, she hopped on that elliptical trainer and did some of that so she could hopefully drive her blood sugar down low. And I guess it worked.
Drive the blood sugar crazy so that to go well low.
You were in the 70s, so
I have to get some exercise in the morning, y'all.
Well, we are back. It's lunchtime, isn't it?
Lunchtime in Texas.
Now, for breakfast, we had mostly protein with the egg and the meat, and then that meat was sausage, kind of fatty, so it had, some fat to it, and then we had the bread, had a few carbs, kind of a combo there.
Yeah.
But didn't affect our blood sugar too much.
No.
We got by with it pretty well.
It was really good.
Let you know at the end what the scores actually were, but
Right.
It wasn't a big problem at
We're
all.
not revealing now.
No. Keep it a secret.
Secret.
So that was kind of almost a carnivore meal, except for the bread. We had the egg and the meat. Now, this time we're doing a plant-based, whole foods, vegetarian meal,
Okay.
with the exception of some cheese. Some vegetarians will eat cheese, some won't.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give them a real treat today. You know what treat I'm going to give them?
Surprise, surprise, tell me.
I'm going to give them the official Dennis Pollock salad.
Okay.
Doesn't that sound exciting?
Exciting.
Say, I'm really excited
I
about
am
this.
really excited about this. I see it every day. So excited.
Well, she's almost right. I won't say I eat a salad every time for lunch, but most of the lunches I do eat a salad. Most of the lunches I kind of switch and go from the protein and fat breakfast to a salad type lunch. But the one thing they have in common is neither one of them is very high carb. And so we're not going to be putting chips, corn chips in our salad. We're not going to be putting croutons. One of the best ways you can spoil a salad is fill it with croutons or fill it with corn chips. These are going to be low-carb vegetables along with a couple of other items. Now, to make sure I don't overeat, I use a bowl like this, which means I can only fill it so high. So what I'm going to do, I'm kind of lazy, I have to admit. I a lot of times use these prepackaged mixes, and so that way I don't have to cut it all myself. And what are you? You're making some faces. Are you agreeing that I'm lazy? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no. No, my dear, you're not the least bit lazy. You're the most hardworking man that I know. See?
No, my dear, you are not lazy. You are the most hardworking man I've ever known.
Ah, that's it. That's
Feel
it.
good? He feels good.
I feel so much better.
Yeah.
So we have the veggies all cut up and ready, but a salad with just vegetables isn't very exciting. Who wants to eat a dull meal? And this is going
Nobody.
to be dull.
Doll. Yours or mine? Which one is the doll?
Hers is slightly different from mine, but they're very similar. So to jazz it up, I'm going to take some walnuts and
Well, I
throw
got
those
walnuts
in there.
in mine too.
Yeah. And that's going to make it more exciting. We're going to have nice little crunchy stuff. Now, walnuts are like 1,000 times better than croutons. Croutons are made of bread. Walnuts are made of, walnuts.
Why not?
So these are going to be crunchy. They're going to taste better than the They're going to taste better than they're going to taste better than the croutons, and they're not going to affect blood sugar hardly at all.
But I have a little.
But I'm
Peanuts on mine.
I'm not done.
Yeah.
You've got peanuts in yours. I chose walnuts. I'm going to coat it with some shredded cheese. That's always exciting. Doesn't take much to make me excited, does it? I'm kind of you can tell how dull I am when I talk about how shredded cheese is exciting, but it is to me. Mm-hmm. Now, the blackberries. Oh, this is really going to jazz it up because it's going to add some sweetness. So I'm going to cut each blackberry into several pieces, and I'm going to have about 4 blackberries in this. You say, yeah, well, isn't that going to add some sugar? Yes, it will, but not that much. You say, well, how do you know that's going to work for you? Because I've already had this before and tested it, and it works. So Mike the meter has told me that blackberries are okay in moderation in a salad. We need a couple of slices of cheese. So we've got a couple of small slices of cheese. And why cheese? Well, cheese is filling. You know, cheese is the keto version of bread, or the diabetic's version of bread. And people normally eat bread not because bread is all that great tasting. No. They normally eat bread because they want to get filled up. And it's a good, cheap way to fill up. You have, your main dish, you have a side dish, and you have a big old hunk of bread. Time you eat all that bread, you're full. The diabetic, he's not real happy with bread. Bread is not his friend. Mm-mm. So by eating cheese instead, you can get just as full. In fact, some people ask me, how can I keep from losing weight on keto? I'm skinny as it is, and I don't want to lose any more weight. I tell them, eat cheese and eat nuts. Oh. Cheese and nuts are both high calorie, low carb. So this will keep us a little fuller throughout the day than if we just had the salad by itself. Well, since I'm sharing with you what I eat in a day and basically giving you my routine, I have to include this, which is my after lunch cup of bulletproof coffee. Somehow I found it relaxing and refreshing to have a cup of bulletproof coffee after I eat my lunch, and I did add a little bit of swerve in there to sweeten it up. I usually sit in this, my recliner, and I talk to the Lord. I sip my coffee and just take a few minutes to chill out and enjoy the coffee and enjoy the Lord and His presence, make small talk with God. So if you'll excuse me, I'm going to put my recliner back, enjoy my coffee, and just take it easy for a few minutes. And then we'll come back around dinner time and talk about what we'll be eating for dinner tonight. For dinner, we had Benedicta's African okra soup with fufu. Nigerians are all about soup, and the great thing is that the soups they make usually are without noodles or rice or flour. The fufu, of course, is the problem, but we find ways to make that work for us without giving it up altogether. Deciding to live dangerously, we enjoyed a dessert of strawberries on a low-carb muffin made in a mug with whipped cream on top. Okay, well, our day of testing ourselves and eating the different foods and doing it on video is over. Mm-hmm. Kind of nice that it is over, huh?
Yeah, it's so good. kind
of a pressure.
Yeah.
Our idea was to show how we can keep our glucose on the low side,
right,
and go through an entire day doing that. So let's go with yours. Remember, we had the breakfast of what? What did we have for breakfast?
That was that sandwich, egg sandwich.
The egg, breakfast biscuit is the way we would call it.
Breakfast biscuit.
For lunch, we had the marvelous salad and the cheese.
Yep.
And then supper. Whoa, we had a supper, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. That was outstanding.
African soup. And African fufu.
Yep.
And the way we managed this was to cut it low on the fufu.
Very low, but I don't know how low I went.
You didn't go as low as I did.
I went low.
But, I think there's a reason why she couldn't go as low as me. She was afraid the fufu police would be knocking on our door and arresting her and taking away all her Nigerian credentials if she didn't eat enough fufu. Because it is a law, unwritten law in Nigeria, that if you eat soup, you must...
Lies.
If you eat soup, you must eat fufu. No good Nigerian would not do that.
Well, fufu goes with soup, and soup goes with fufu. So that's how we eat it.
Well, yeah, in America, we talk about soup and crackers. They used to say soup and crackers go together, but in Nigeria, it's soup and fufu.
Well, you can eat this soup with crackers or anything you want to eat,
Well,
but don't
yeah,
eat
crackers
high carb.
wouldn't be an improvement because that's high carb anyway.
Okay, whatever you like, eating it like that, you know.
All right. Well, at any rate, let's go over the scores. Breakfast, the breakfast biscuit, and the coffee. What did you start with? What did you end with?
Okay, for breakfast, my pre-meal was 78.
Which was outstanding.
Outstanding. And my post-meal was 88.
Post-meal, anytime you can have a post-meal number
Right.
below 90, it's like it's time to do your happy dance.
Yay!
Okay. Maybe not now.
Oh, not now.
All right, go ahead. The lunch was the salad and the cheese. How'd you do there? You started out before the meal at?
Before the meal, it was 96.
96, which
Yeah.
not quite as good as before breakfast, but it was respectable. What did
Right.
you end with?
Ended up, with my post-meal, 88.
Yeah, 1 hour after eating,
Right.
your glucose had gone down instead of up.
Yes.
Sometimes that happens, and there just weren't enough carbs in that meal.
No.
And I think maybe the berries we put in there, kind of tricked your pancreas into saying, hey, Benedicta's eating something sweet, we better release some insulin.
I don't know about that.
And you went down instead of up. Now, but that's great. Again, you had the same post-meal number after
Right.
lunch as you did after breakfast. And again, anytime you can have a peak of glucose under 90, I mean, you deserve an award of some kind.
Yes!
Okay.
Gang. The award for the post-meal goes to Benedicta. Yeah!
All right, let's talk about dinner and the soup, the fufu. And we did something that was a little daring.
Yeah.
After we had our soup and our smaller amount of fufu,
Right.
we had a strawberry on the mug, the muffin in a mug.
Yes.
I like to call it strawberry shortcake.
Yes.
How'd you like that?
It was great. I loved it.
Yeah, it's really good. We didn't have a big one, but we did have a dessert and some coffee. So
Yes.
I wanted to live dangerously and see if we could slip in that dessert, slip in those strawberries, and still have good numbers.
Yes.
What did you get? What did you have before? Now, before, we didn't quite remember to do it on time, so we were a few minutes into our meal, and Benedicta said, hey, we didn't do a pretest. So we ran
Yes.
quickly and did our pretest. Looked like we hadn't, our blood sugar hadn't risen.
No.
So you started at what?
I started at 90,
Okay,
and after the meal, it was 121.
121, which was your highest post-meal.
Yes.
I was a little surprised that it went that high, but you did have more fufu than I did.
Yes.
And,
I took a little more fufu. Yeah.
Okay. So for my scores, the breakfast biscuit with the coffee started out before the meal at 95, post-meal 109. It's a bit of a rise, but still, I'm staying under 110. I can't really complain too much about that. Lunch was the salad and the cheese. Started out at 99, ended up at 106 1 hour post-meal. So a good solid number for a post-meal peak. And I do tend to peak at 1 hour. Remember, we don't take any blood sugar medication, any diabetes meds at all, no insulin. So this is just us. Dinner, the soup, the fufu, and the strawberry shortcake started out at an amazing number of 83. I was surprised it was that low, but there's quite a bit of time that elapsed between lunch and dinner, much more than the time between breakfast and lunch. So we had gone a good 5 or 6 hours, I guess, probably 6 hours between lunch and dinner, and had no snacks. Yeah. So 83 at the pre-meal, which wasn't quite a pre-meal because we had eaten a few bites, but not much. Post-meal, 1 hour later after finishing, with the strawberry shortcake and the soup, 107.
Yeah.
So, I can't kick. I did all right. You beat me most of the time, but on that final meal, somehow I beat you. So,
well, you wouldn't have. Don't be too happy about that.
Well,
if not that I took more, a little more fufu, which I shouldn't have.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
It just shows you do have to be careful. You have to be able to identify high carb foods on your
Yes,
plate. And
yes.
what you do is you say, okay, this is a high-carb food. I may eat a little bit of it, but I'm not going to eat too much. So if
Yeah.
you've got rice, normally I wouldn't eat rice, but if I was at a friend's house or something, they serve me rice just to make them feel good, I may take some. But I wouldn't take much. Normally I just skip potatoes at all. They're just so nasty. They just like sugar. Anyway, let me just have a few closing words here. What we have done today is demonstrate that it's possible for someone who's diabetic or who has diabetic tendencies to keep their blood sugar completely under control for a day simply by what they eat. Now, let me ask you a question. Suppose we ate a big stack of pancakes with sugary syrup for breakfast, a deep dish pizza for lunch, and a huge lasagna dinner with French bread for supper. Do you suppose we would have had those same glucose numbers? Of course not. And when you think about this simple fact, it is great news for the diabetic. What it means is that what we put into our mouths makes a huge determination, indeed pretty much the only determination as to what level our glucose rises to. You have a lot more control over your blood sugar than you thought you did. If I had to guess, I'd say we probably had around 40 to 50 net grams of carbs for the day, which probably would not satisfy a keto purist, but Mike the blood sugar meter assured me that we didn't do all that bad. One thing to note is that we did not snack in between meals. Frequent snacking is about the worst thing you can do if you're serious about blood sugar control, and it is far worse if you're eating high-carb snacks like chips or bread products. For this day, in my case, my blood sugar peaks, which normally occur about an hour after I eat, never even reach the 100 in teens. For my 3 meals, I peaked at 109, 106, and 107, not even getting close to dangerous blood sugar levels. Now, perhaps some of you may be saying, well, considering what you ate and the size of your meals, I'm not all that surprised you kept your blood sugar pretty low. If I ate like that, I could probably do it too. Exactly. So why don't you consider eating like this? Doesn't mean you have to make the same exact meal day after day, but I just want to emphasize that low-carb foods and meals are the way to go, and you need to test your blood sugar like crazy to see how these low-carb foods and meals affect you. And if you can do this for 1 day, why couldn't you do it for 2 days? Or how about a whole week, or a month, or better still, why not keep your glucose levels in bounds for the rest of your days? Now that is beating diabetes. When you first learn that you have diabetes and your glucose levels are sky high, you probably won't be able to come close to these kinds of numbers as post-meal peaks. You may start out in the morning at 200 milligrams per deciliter, and you'll just get higher from there after every meal. But don't let that discourage you. Just be faithful to keep your carbs low, and you're going to see those numbers drop, drop, drop. But you can get there. What I and tens of thousands of other diabetics have achieved is available for you as well. Make the sacrifices and the adjustments that you need to make, and trust in the process that in time you will taste the joy of victory. And that tastes a whole lot better than any donut. Let me remind you that I take no insulin, no diabetic meds, and I keep my glucose under control by the foods that I put in my mouth and the foods that I refuse to put in my mouth, plus the grace of God. Well, we want to let you know that the soup that Benedicta made is, she's made a video about it and told step by step how to make that, and it's going to be part of a new channel that you'll be doing. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'm starting a new channel. I opened one the other day, but I post ministry things and the prayers that we're doing there. So this is going to be a different one whereby I don't have to jam my, the ministry things and the soup or any other thing I have to post the same way. So in the same channel, so I have to separate it. So I'm starting a new channel where I'll be posting most of the things I'll be cooking example, the soup that I just made today is outstanding. So it's gonna be there on the channel. You're gonna watch me step by step how I cook the soup right in my kitchen. It's gonna be so fun. And don't forget that this book, 60 Ways to Lower Your Blood Sugar, the soup made it to this book right here. And because
the recipe plus the picture.
Plus the picture. That's me right there cooking the soup. That is the soup that I made, okra soup. So it's really good. It's blood sugar friendly, So I'm going to let you know that this is available. If you order now, I can sign it, signature from me and Dennis, we shall sign it and send to you.
Yeah.